Here's one I prepared a little bit earlier. So this is sort of like a small cheese dish or anything for your jewelry and things like that. So that's what we're gonna make today. You can hear I've got the music on in the background because you've gotta be in a good, gotta be feeling good. I've got my favorite t-shirt on. I'm all pots everything. I've set out all the tools that we're gonna use today. So I'll just bring you down so you can have a look at them. I think we'll use the knife tool today, our rubber kidney, our scoopy scoop, our potter's thumb, so we've got the two different textures on that, our potter's pin tool is what it's called, our sponge, our cutting wire, and we're going to have a go using a rolling pin. So if you have one in the house, that's awesome. If you don't, that's all good. That's where our trusty bottle of wine comes into things. Fantastic, love this. So we're going to have a go getting ready and started. We'll just move all the tools out for a moment. Move things to the side. We're going to open up our sheet of fabric. Love this. Grab our block of clay. Awesome. And then we're going to open it up. Take out our clay. Bring that up. Alright, so this is where we're going to decide what shape our platter we want it to be. Oh, let's bring this bit up a bit. Fantastic. So we can cut from the top and we can sort of get like a roughly this shape. If we want something a bit longer, we can cut down the side. If we want something that's quite wide and long, we'll just cut straight through here. So I'm going to go for something a little bit longer today. So I'm going to grab my cutting wire. If I can undo this. Oh my goodness. Got there eventually. Alright, so we're going to wrap our hands around our cutting wire. I'm going to gently just go down about a centimetre and a half. I'm going to slowly drag all the way towards us, nice and smooth. If you want to sort of have a look as you're going and just see how, if it's in a straight line, you can do that. I just like to get rid of the extra clay on there. I've got a bucket over here, just for water if I want to smooth out my clay at any point. Put that to the side. We're going to slowly lift up our clay and gently place it down. So the rest of this clay, we can put it straight back into the bag it came into. So we just want to make sure that the clay is always sealed at any time, that way it doesn't dry out too much. So I'm just going to do that up, wrap that and put that to the side. Alright, so if we can, we're going to fold over our piece of fabric. If you can't, that's all good. If you want to have a go just sort of roughly going forward and backwards, this is if you want to just do it a bit freehand and just sort of see what happens. If you want it to be a bit more consistent in the thickness, I've just grabbed some coasters if you have any loose pieces of wood or anything that's the same size, height, and I'm just going to put that on either side. And this just sort of means that as you're rolling it, it's keeping to the same thickness, so that's the aim. So gently rolling forward, rolling backwards. You can move these forward as well. And rolling back. And again, if you've got a wine bottle instead, that's all good. This is probably the time that you crack it open, pour yourself a glass, and then get back to it. Put that one back on, and we're just going to gently rolling forward and rolling back. Would I recommend a white bottle of wine? No, probably go for a red. There's a lot of condensation forming here, but that's all good. It's all part of the process of hand building. So we're going to come back a bit. I'm just going to flatten this out. Awesome. Alright, let's unfurl this and have a look and see how we're going. So, unwrap that. Alright, so we've got about a centimetre of thickness at the moment. I think it's a little bit thick for what I'm thinking. So, I'm going to go down to one on each side. And just before, I'm going to flip it just so it doesn't get stuck to the base and it's nice and smooth. So I'm just going to gently smooth out my clay first and then go the other way. So that's just with my rubber kidney. I'm just using the long side of it. Awesome. That just compresses the clay. So as we're picking it up, this is very important as well. Instead of sort of just grabbing at it and sort of just smearing it as it goes, we're going to gently pick it up with two hands and see if we can keep it nice and long as we go. So fantastic. And I'm just going to flip it over and fold the fabric again. So this time, because I'm going to go thinner, I'm just going to use one coaster on either side. If I wanted it to be a little bit wider, I could always flip it and use my rolling pin to go this way. But because I want it nice and long, I'm going to keep going in the same direction I was before. And if you're noticing any sort of like fabric sort of creases, just gently pull on the fabric and that makes it nice and taut. Just rolling it out. And we're going to do this. I think no one needs to see this. I think we're just going to fast forward this bit, so hold on. And then I'm going to come in with my rubber kidney again and just make sure there's no water on it, and we're just going to gently smooth in both directions. Ooh. Nothing too harsh. I'm just smoothing it out. And then I'm going to go in the opposite direction as well. Just making sure it's nice and smooth. This compresses the clay and make sure there's not too many particles just floating around. So compressing, 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 and then we're going to flip it over. So this time, instead of lifting it up, I'm going to gently just wrap it over, bring it to the edge of the table, and flip it over, just like that, nice and smooth. And then we're going to open it up, and we're going to compress again with our rubber kidney. One direction. Alright, and then I'm going to come across this way on a bit of an angle. Awesome. Alright, that looks good. Alright, so now I can decide what shape I want to make it in. So I'm going to take my pin tool. If you want to have a practice, you can also grab a pen or something that's less sharp. Give me a second. Alright, so I've just got a pencil, so if I want to have a practice sketching and outlining this piece, so I'm just going to bring this down a little bit more. There we go. Awesome. So I'm going to have a go sketching. So if I want something that's a bit ovular, you can add a little bit of a curve in there or anything that you like. And just have a go sort of creating that shape. Right, and we're going to take our pin tool. You can take your pin tool or your knife tool, whatever you prefer. I'm going to gently, starting just off the edge, we're going to trace that line over. And when we're cutting through it, see if you can keep your pin tool nice and straight. Try to avoid going in on a bit of an angle and just coming in nice and straight. So same as the knife tool, so starting at the edge, and we're going to just trace that curve out. Or if you wanted to, you could freehand this, the whole thing, you didn't need to sketch it out. And if you're worried about making the curve, you can just come off the side, take that bit off, and we'll just put that to the side for the moment. Alright, so coming around for the next bit, we're going to start again, keeping the tool nice and straight. And that come in again. Just like that. Picking that up, putting that to the side. If you've got any excess here, just coming in again. And trim it off. Really awesome. Alright, so now I'm going to take our sponge tool and we're just going to gently come around that edge. So we can make sure there's not too much water in there, and we're just going to compress. So and if you're unhappy with the shape as it is at the moment, you can always come in with your tool and just recreate that shape. So you can just change it just like that. Very easy. And then we're going to continue with the compressing. So coming with the sponge, and the sponge is sort of curving the edge over, and we're also just putting a little pressure on there. So if I was to use my finger, you can also use your finger as well, but you were just smoothing over and putting a little pressure on. So this is actually going to be the base of my pot, of my platter. So I'm going to flip it over one more time. So come to the edge of the table, keeping your hand nice and flat underneath. Alright, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. So we can use the sponge, we can use our finger, whatever we like. And that way both sides of your platter are going to be nice and curved, and it's going to make it easier to clean up a little bit later in the process. So I'm going to gently lift up the corner, bring this down a bit, lift up the corner and push our thumbs in a bit. Lift up, thumbs are in, nice and gentle, we don't want to go through the clay. Lifting it up. Don't worry if it's sort of a little bit droopier than you'd like. We're just going to start the process. So bring it up, and we're going to rotate the fabric as we go. And that just sort of brings it around nice and easily. Bring up the walls a little bit more, so curving our hands in, so almost stretching the clay on the outside just a little bit. And our thumbs, again, not putting too much pressure. We don't want to have the base to be flat and then have a little divot before the wall, so keeping that nice and gentle on our thumbs. Especially on the corner as we sort of stretch around the edge. Groovy. Alright, I'm going to let this sit for about 45 minutes just to sort of dry up a little bit, be a little bit less droopy. So we're going to give that a little bit of time, and then we're going to come in, compress the edges again and smooth out our wall and make them nice and straight. So I'll see you then just in time for a wine break. So we've left our clay to dry for a little bit. We've probably finished our glass of wine by now, which is awesome. And we're gonna have a go just smoothing it off and just sort of cleaning it up a little bit. So with our hand, we're gonna just go around again, bringing the walls up nice and tall, and just making sure they're not sort of drooping out. You need a dance break, you need a dance break. Alright, so now we're going to go around this inside section whilst we're supporting as well, and we're just going to gently smooth out that. Keeping your hand on the round side so the walls don't bend out again. Ruby. Alright, so now you can add go with your sponge. And we're just going to come around the walls. Nice even pressure. And we're just going to gently come around. Come over the rims. Still supporting from the side. I'm just going to smooth the base out. Make sure there's not too much water here. So I'm just going to smooth over the base with our sponge, supporting at the side, going around the sides. Alright, we're going to let that dry for a little bit, and then you can add your maker's mark onto the base once it's dried out, and then you're done. You've got yourself a little platter. I think I'm going to use mine for cheese, but that's me. Alright, that's everything. Hope you had fun, and I can't wait to see what you make.